Hello everyone. How are you all? I hope you all are well. My name is Gagandeep Kaur. I am an English teacher at Akal Academy Rajia. So I welcome you all to our today's English class. So firstly I want you to look at both these pictures and tell me who is more happy according to you. A person having all the luxuries and comforts of life or a person with limited income and resources. So yes, rich people, instead of having feeling positive emotions that involve connection with other people, their happiness is more likely to be expressed as feelings that focus on themselves only. On the other hand, those with less money tend to have stronger feelings of love and compassion. So, the difference between earning or money doesn't mean that high income people have more total happiness than people who earn less. So, this is the theme of our today's poem, The Enchanted Shirt. So, basically, this poem is a ballad. What is ballad? Do you know? Yes, so ballad is a story that is told in the form of poem. So this poem, The Enchanted Shirt, it is written by poet John Milton Hay. So John Milton Hay was an American diplomat who famously served as a private secretary to Abraham Lincoln. He was born in 1838 in the state of Indiana. So let us firstly discuss the theme of the poem. So this poem tells us about the fate of a king who was irresponsible to his subjects. It is the tale of a king who was sick and the strange cure was prescribed for treating him. The vast search throughout the realm for an enchanted shirt needed to cure the sick king ends with surprising results. The theme of the poem is honesty versus deception. It is a very clever, sarcastic, and inspirational poem. So, this narrative poem also highlights the necessity of social mingling. So, let us begin with the first stanza. The king was sick, his cheek was red, and his eye was clear and bright. He ate and drank with the kingliest, and peacefully snores at night. So, in the first stanza, the poet says that even though king was sick, he was ill, but there was no sign of illness on his face, as his cheek was red and his eye was clear and bright, and also he ate properly and peacefully slept at night. Next stanza. But he said he was sick and a king should know, and doctors came by the score. They did not cure him. He cut off their heads and sent to the schools for more. So, in this stanza, the poet says that but the king was insisting that he was ill and he must know about the illness. So many doctors were called, but they were not able to treat him. So, as a punishment, some doctors were put to death and others were sent to school to gain more knowledge. At last, two famous doctors came, and one was as poor as rat. He had passed his life in studious toil and never found time to grow fat. So, at last, two famous doctors were called, and among them, one was very poor. So he is compared to rat. This is an idiom. So he had passed most time of his life studying books. So he didn't get any time to earn his livelihood or to grow fat. The other had never looked in a book. His patients gave him no trouble. If they recovered, they paid him well. If they died, their heirs paid double. So the other doctor, he was not educated. He had never studied books in his career. But he was able to treat, to cure his patients well. And if his patients recovered, they paid him handsome money. But if they dies, their successors or heirs paid him double amount. Together, they looked at the royal tongue as the king on his couch reclined. In succession, they thumbed his august chest, but no trace of disease could find. So both the doctor, they examined the tongue of the king as the king was lying on his couch in very relaxed manner. They also hit or checked the chest of the king, but no traces of any disease could find. The old sage said, "You are as sound as a nut." "Hang him up," roared the king in a gale. In a 10-knot gale of royal rage, the other leech grew a shade of pale. So, among them, among both the doctors, one was old wise. He said that the king is strong or the king is healthy, but the king grew angry. He told his courtiers to hang him to death. So he was in anger, and the other doctor who was standing beside him, his face grew colorless. He became frightened. But he pensively rubbed his sagacious nose, and thus his prescription ran: "King will be well if he sleeps one night in the shirt of a happy man." So, after thinking for a while, the other doctor prescribed or suggested king that he will be fine if for one night he will sleep in a shirt of a man who is happy in his life. Wide over the realm the courtiers rode, and fast their horses ran, and many they saw, and to many they spoke, but they found no happy man. So the king ordered his soldiers to search for a happy man around their kingdom. So the soldiers rode on their horses and went to their kingdom to find a happy man. They saw many people, they spoke to many people, but they found no such man who's happy. They found poor men who would fain be rich, and rich who thought they were poor, and men who twisted their waists in stays, and women that so those wore. So, on their way, soldiers met many people. Some people were poor and they happily wanted to be rich, and some people were rich who were thinking that they are not having enough money, enough resources, and they are still poor. And some other men who were just twisting their waist, means who were just asking for help, and women who were wearing different clothes. So here in the this stanza and the upcoming, the actual theme of the poem starts, as it is stated that what would be the condition of the people living in the kingdom where the king fails to fulfill his duties. They saw two men by the roadside sit, and both bemoaned their lot. For one had buried his wife, he said, and the other one had not. So the soldier met two men. They were sitting by the roadside and both were complaining a lot. So one had just buried his wife and other had not. Other had already lost his wife. So it means that the people in the kingdom were not happy. They were suffering from many diseases, they were starving, they were complaining, and the king was unable to fulfill his duty. At last, as they came to a village gate, a beggar lay whistling there. He whistled and sang, and laughed and rolled on the grass in the soft June air. So at last the soldiers came to one village. There was a beggar who was lying on a grass. He was very happy. He was whistling, he was singing, he was laughing, he was rolling on grass in the June air. Means it was a summer season. The weary courtiers paused and looked at the scam so blithe and gay, and one of them said, "Heaven save you, friend, you seem to be happy today." So the courtiers were tired, so they paused or they stopped there where the beggar was lying and they looked at the mischievous beggar who seemed to be very happy, and one of the courtier asked him that God has blessed you as you are happy. So, "Oh yes, fair sirs," the rascal laughed, and his voice rang free and glad. "An idle man has much to do that he never has time to be sad." So the beggar replied that yes, he is happy, and again that foolish beggar started laughing, and his voice seemed to be free and full of happiness, and he kept on saying that an idle person means a person who has no work, has many works to do, so he never gets any time to be sad. "This is our man," the courtier said. "Our luck has led us aright. I will give you 100 ducats, friend, for the loan of your shirt tonight." So the courtiers start or the soldiers start discussing to each other that this is the man that we were looking for, and our luck has brought us to the right person. So they asked the beggar that they will give him 100 gold coins if he will lend his shirt for one night. The merry blackguard lay back on the grass and laughed till his face was black. "I would do it, God what?" And he roared with the fun, "But I haven't a shirt to my back." Then, listening to the soldiers that they wanted his shirt for one night, the beggar started laughing in a funny way. He was just rolling on the grass, and with dust, his face turned black. And he was asking that, "God, what? Somebody wanted my shirt, a beggar's shirt?" And he was just laughing with fun. So he was also saying that I don't have any other shirt to wear. Each day, to the king, the reports came in of his unsuccessful spies, and the sad panorama of human woes passed daily under his eyes. So each and every single day, the king was getting reports from his kingdom of his unsuccessful plans, as the people in his kingdom were suffering They were starving and all his plans were failing. So, all the wide and real picture of his kingdom came or passed before his eyes, and he grew ashamed of his useless life, and his maladies hatched in gloom. He opened his windows and let the air of the free heaven into his room. Now the king was feeling ashamed, as he was spending his life, or he was wasting his life in a useless manner, and after that all his diseases hatched and converted into happiness. As he opened his thought, he opened his mind, and thus he got place in heaven. And out he went in the world and toiled in his own appointed way, and the people blessed him. The land was glad, and the king was well and gay. So the king started interacting with people. He started going outside and listening to the worries or to the woes of people. So he started fulfilling his duties, and after that, the people of his kingdom blessed him. Now, all the people there living in his kingdom were happy, and the king was very happy and glad. I hope you all enjoyed reading this poem with me. Thank you very much for listening. Have a nice day.